Warning: this video contains clips and excerpts of a humorous nature not normally found in math class. These are intended to fight the adolescent condition known as short attention span, found heavily in the modern teen, especially when in school. The only thing you should attempt at home is the math. The rest, you just laugh at. Welcome back to 3-5, solving inequalities with variables on both sides. Why this lesson is safer than trying to power squat 300 pounds. Alright, and we're back. Now let's see what you remember. If you notice here we have 5x plus 20 equals 3x plus 30. Remember, the first strategy is to get rid of an x on each side. It doesn't matter if I get rid of the 5x or get rid of the 3x, but one of them's got to go. For simplicity, I get rid of the smaller x normally. So instead of plus 3x, I'll minus 3x. If I minus 3x over here, I minus 3x on the other side. These go away. Really, it leaves 0x, but remember, anything times 0 is 0, so that goes away. Leaving 2x plus 20 equals 30. The next step, if you notice, is instead of plus 20, I'm of course going to minus 20. Minus 20 on one side, you minus 20 on the other. Leaving 2x plus 0, which goes away, so 2x equals 10. Then, instead of times 2, we divide by 2, and then divide 2 on one side, divide 2 on the other, x equals 5. Don't forget, we can plug that back in to see if it works. So, if I plug a 5 in here, don't want to use spray paint, use normal. 5 times 5 is 25, plus 20 makes 45. And on the other side, 5 times 3 is 15, plus 30 makes 45 as well. So 45 does equal 45. Therefore, I know that x equals 5 is the correct answer. Next page. So nothing changes if we use a less than sign. So if you take a look here, same problem, but now less than. Notice how I still minus 3x to both sides, leaving this. Notice how I still minus 20 to both sides, leaving this. I divide by 2. The answer, therefore, is x is less than negative 5 in this case. Now, why negative? Must have changed the problem some, so that's fine. So instead of having 30, I had 10, but whatever. So it makes negative 5. So x is less than negative 5. So open circle here, and negative 5 going this way, less than. Now you go ahead and try here. Go ahead and try 8x plus 22 is greater than 13x plus 2. Go ahead and solve. Alright, hopefully you paused. Let's see how you did. Well, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to minus 8x to both sides. So I have 22 is greater than 5x plus 2. I'm going to minus 2 to both sides. So I have 20 is greater than 5x. Instead of times 5, divide by 5, divide by both sides. I have x4 is now greater than x. Now I prefer x on the left side, so I'm going to crisscross x over here, 4 over here. That means the sign switches from greater than to lesser than. So open circle, less than. You try again. Go ahead, pause this video, and try the problem. 8x minus 22 is greater or equal to 13x plus 3. Go ahead. Hopefully you tried. Let's see what you got. First thing I do is I minus 8x again. So I got my 5x minus 3. Remember, negative 22 minus 3 makes negative 25. Divide by 5 to both sides. Negative 5 is greater than x. Switch, switch. X is less or equal to negative 5. Yeah, it's going to be greater than equal to. Becomes less or equal to. And because it's equal to, dark circle, less than, just as well. You try. Negative 8x plus 42 is less or equal to 13x. Go ahead and give it a try at this time. Hopefully you've had a chance to try. Instead of plus 42, we're going to... Instead of plus 42, we're going... Darn it. Instead of minus 8x, we're going to add 8x to both sides. Why? I got to get rid of an x. So I have 42 is less or equal to 21x. Now, instead of times 21, we're going to divide 21 to this side and this side. 42 divided by 21 is 2. So 2 is less or equal to x. Then what we do is we switch. Sign switches 2, so it's x is greater or equal to 2. And now, time for a commercial. And we're back. Next page. Sometimes you just got to simplify. So 2 times y plus 6 is less or equal to 3y. First, I take 2 times the y. Then I take 2 times the 6. So 2 times y is 2y. 2 times the 6 is 12. Then I'll go ahead and get rid of one set of y's. So instead of plus 2y, I'll minus 2y here. You minus 2y there. So you have 12. I don't know why I put equals. That's an odd thing to do. Alright, so now I have 12 is less or equal to 1y. So switch. Y over here, 12 over here. Less or equal becomes greater than or equal. So action at 12 and greater than sign. Alright, you give this a try here. This is going to be harder. Go ahead and pause it this time and give it a try. Let's see what you have. This over here, I'm putting minus 5b and 2b together. So I'm going to go ahead and make this negative 3b, as you'll see here. This guy, what I've done is I'm going to separate this stuff and just put negative 2 times 1 and negative 2 times negative b. So basically, negative 2 times 1 becomes negative 2, and negative 2 times negative b becomes plus 2b. So basically, all I've done here is I went ahead and multiplied this by negative 2 and this by negative 2, getting these answers. Now I'm going to consolidate negative 5b and plus 2b to become negative 3b. And I'm going to consolidate negative 2 and negative 2 to make negative 4. So this is what I'm working with now. Now I need to get rid of one of the b's here. I'm probably going to get rid of the minus 3b by adding 3b. So these cancel, leaving just 3. I still have negative 4, and now I have 5b. So to get 5b by itself, instead of minus 4, I'm going to add 4. Add 4 to one side, add 4 to the other. So now I get 7. So 7 is greater than 5b. Now, instead of times 5, we're going to divide by 5. Divide 5 on this side, divide 5 on this side. And now, really, you have 7/5 is greater than b. Flip, flop. b is now less than 7/5, or 1 and 2/5, or 1.4, or whatever makes you happy. So since it's less than, it's open circle, and less than once again. Seems to be my favorite example is less thans. Alright. You try again. Go ahead and give it a shot. Hopefully you've had a chance to try, so let's see what you got. 1/2 times b, well, any number times a variable you just stick together. So 1/2 times b is 1/2 b. If you made it 0.5b, that's fine. Either or. But then remember 1/2 times 6. I'll bet some of you got 1/2 b, but you left 6 by itself. But no, it's 1/2 times 6 as well. 1/2 times 6, remember 6 times 1 is 6, divided by 2 is 3. Is greater than 3/2 b minus 1. Couple different options. You could times them all by 2 if you want. I didn't, but you could have. I said, well, if I already have a 1/2 b and I have 3/2 b's, I'm just going to go ahead and subtract the 1/2 b from each side. You figure about it, if it's 3/2 minus 1, you're going to have 2/2. 2/2 is 1, so this just become a b. 2/2 b, or just 1b. So now 3 is greater or equal to 1b minus 1. Instead of minus 1, we're going to add 1 to one side, add 1 to the other. Now we're going to have 4 is greater than 1b, which you just make it as 4 is greater than b. Flip flop, b is less than 4. 4 less than. Example 2, and you can follow along on page 195. Example 2, daily info charges. The daily info charges a fee of $650 plus $80 per week to run an ad. The People's paper charges $145 per week, but there's no initial fee. For how many weeks will the total cost at the daily info be less expensive than the cost of the People's paper? So we want to set up an equation where the daily info is less than the People's paper. So put it in the equation. Let's put daily info less than People's paper. So right away I'm setting up what they're asking. They want to know when this is less or equal to this. So now daily info, if you remember, said $80 a week plus $650. Now I don't know how many weeks we're talking about. So put 80x plus the 650, like this. Then the other one's just 145 a week, so put that here. Now it's pretty simple. Now I just minus 80x to both sides, leaving my 650, less or equal to 65x. Instead of times 65, divide by 65, one side then the other. You get 10 is less or equal to x, flip it. X on the other side, 10 on the other, x is greater or equal to 10. So it looks like in 10 weeks or more, you'll save money with the daily info. Dark circle, greater than, boom, this way. True story for this next one. So you go ahead, you try. Years ago, when VCRs first came out, that was before DVD and Blu-ray, they were very expensive. When VCRs first came out, they were very expensive. That's what I meant to say. The first rental stores would rent videos for $10. Then they offered membership for $100 more. So in other words, you have to rent videos for $10 each. But now if you were a member, you paid $100 for a one-time, lifetime membership, but members only had to pay $5 to rent a video. So how many rentals would it take to pay for a membership fee? Well, let's take a look. On one side, I want to know if I pay the $100 and I'm only paying 5x, when would that be less or equal to just paying $10 a rental? So if we look, the members pay the $100, but you're only paying $5 each. The non-members pay $10 each. So minus 5x minus 5x. We go ahead and leave our 100, and this is 5x. Now, instead of times 5, we divide by 5. Divide on one side, divide on the other. We'll go ahead and do that, and now you have 20 is less or equal to x. Flip x on the other side. So x is now over here, 20 is now over here. Instead of less or equal to, it's now greater or equal to. So basically, if you rent 20 or more videos from this place, you're going to make your money back, and then some. So it's better to plunk down the $100. If you're only going to rent a couple videos and you're not going to rent a lot, don't waste your money. What happens a lot of time with things like this is that people don't realize how much they're renting. So they might be renting something a couple times. Okay, well, I'm only renting a little bit, but they might be renting 5 or 10 a month, and then they're still paying $10 at a time. But they're like, well, I don't want to get membership because it's going to cost more to pay the 100 right then. But they don't realize that the long term they save a lot of money. So obviously people aren't renting videotapes, VCR tapes for $10, a time anymore. That's crazy money now when you can get them for $1 on Redbox. But other things you might have to pay more money down now, but save money in the long run can save you money. Depends on what it is. So in this case, if you're going to rent $20 or more, then your membership will save you money. Now you might run into this. Let's take a look. X plus 5 is greater or equal to x plus 3. Well, to get rid of the x, I have to minus x. If I minus x to one side, I have to do it to the other. But notice how these disappear, leaving just the 5 and the 3. Oh, and by the way, you can follow along on page 196, example 4 if you need. Well, the question is 5 greater or equal to 3? And the answer is yes, and it's always going to be yes. Anytime 5 is always going to be greater or equal to 3. Therefore, no matter what I have for my x, the answer will always be right if x was 0, if x was 1,000,000, if x was negative 1,000,000. Therefore, since 5 will always be greater than 3, the statement is always true. Now, we know the answer will be all real numbers. So when you see something like this, you can just put all real numbers. But when this all real numbers is also called an identity. So what do you put down for the answer, you ask? All real numbers is fine. But an identity means because it's a constant. It's always going to happen. On the other hand, 2x plus 6 is less than 5 plus 2x. Again, I want to get rid of the 2x, so I'm going to, instead of plus 2x, I will minus 2x from one side, do it to the other, cancel, cancel, and I am left with 6 is less than 5. But that's not going to work. Since 6 will never be less than 5, we know that there are no real solutions for the problem. So on your homework, you're going to put no real solutions. But therefore, it's called a contradiction because it's never going to work out. Okay, that's all we have today. I kept it short and sweet as I could. Here's a short video before we leave. Thanks again. Talk to you later. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, man.
Oh,
What?
oh my God, wait.
What? You want to come?
No.